Okay, good morning, friends. Shalom Aleichem, Bruchim Habayim. So, we were not zoicha to get together last 2 weeks, so we have 3 blot we want to say on. Hopefully we'll try to do so expeditiously. First we begin with Ayin Zayin Amud Beis. Ayin Zayin Amud Beis, this will be for Daf Ayin Zayin, discusses the fantastic account of the practice of Rabbi Shua ben Levi, who, even though Rabbi Yochanan would warn people from being near the flies of Balei Ra'asan, Balei Ra'asan were a type of Mukei Shchin. There are 24 types of Mukei Shchin, and Balei Ra'asan is the most severe of all. And Reb Zera would not sit in their wind space. Reb Eliezer would not go in their tent. Rav Ami and Rav Asi would not eat from the egg of the alley. Rabbi Shua ben Levi would attach himself to these people, and he would be oisek b'Torah. He cited the pasuk Ayelas Ahavim v'Yalas Chen, a beloved gazelle that engenders grace. That if Torah gives grace to those who learn it, certainly it will protect those who learn it from this very debilitating and disgraceful illness. Fine. The question though is, the question the Achronim ask, is that it's a life-threatening disease. How is Rabbi Shua ben Levi allowed to put his life in jeopardy? So you'll say, well, shluchei mitzvah einon nizakin. The problem though is that does not apply if it's what is called shchicha hezeka. If it's shchicha hezeka, we do not apply the principle of shluchei mitzvah einon nizakim. So let's begin with this question. Let's see. Do you see the Marmakaimais? No.
Yes.
You do see it. You see it now? Marmakaimais? Yeah? Okay. So, that's the question. Who asked this question? Many Achronim. Let's start with Rabbi Chan Wasserman in the Kavod Shiurim Simin Reish Ayin Zayin. Says Rabbi Chan, Rabbi Shua ben Levi Michrach Behu v'Asik b'Torah. V'Kasha Haksiv V'Yomer Shmuel Eich Elech V'Shama Shal V'Hargeni. How could I go anoint David? Shaul will hear and he'll kill me. What do you mean? You have a mitzvah to do it. Won't the mitzvah protect you? From there we see from here we see that if the hezek is likely, we cannot rely on the principle that shluchei mitzvah will not be harmed. Says Rabbi Chanan, the only way to address this question is to be machalik between mitzvahs and Torah. Says Rabbi Chanan, the din that shluchei mitzvah einon nizakim is only by other mitzvahs. Aval limod Torah shani, but learning Torah is different. Ukedi mi kava chomer, because limod Torah we make a kava chomer that if chen mala al loimdeha agune agni loy koshakein. Now let's get something straight. Was this actually a life-threatening illness? Did the Gemara say that people die because of it? No. The Gemara just said that it causes the nose to run and the mouth to run, and there are flies around you. It sort of distorts the regular features of a person. So somehow you're allowed to rely on this kal v'chomer, that if imchein mala aloim deha agune loy magna, certainly it should protect. This is the answer of Rabbi Chan. Rabbi Chan is machalik between shar mitzvahs and limudat Torah. There's a perush on the side of the Ein Yaakov. It's called Ahavas Eisan. You ever see the Ein Yaakov? The Ein Yaakov is a collection of the Agada Tagamaras, and on the side you have a perush Ahavas Eisan. And he also asks Rabbi Chanan's question. He says, "Amnam yishadaktik de'ich tnan de'ich tagein al hakoyrich b'vali rasan." How could Torah protect those who cling to Bali Rasan? Hashchiach hazeka. But the hezek is very common. V'aminam b'psachim. The Heichel de Shriach Chazeka, Afil Shulchem Mitzvah Nizoiken. The Gemara Pesachim says that where the damage is likely, even Shulchem Mitzvah could get harmed. Says the Ahavas Eisan v'nirali de Hagana de Torah adifa mi mitzvah umagina av Heichel de Shriach. He says Rabbi Chanan's Yisoid that Torah protects even where a mitzvah can't, and therefore even where Hezek is Shriach, it could protect. That's the exact same answer as Rabbi Chanan. But then the Ahavas Eisan says a chidush oyam v'noira. You ready for this? This is one of the biggest chidushim I ever saw. That the din of ein soimchen al anes maybe applies to mitzvahs and maybe it applies to Torah as well. V'oid de limud la'acherim have a zechus gadol uvazeh asi shapir de samach al anes. When it comes to teaching Torah to others, we do not apply the rule of ein soimchen al anes. Afagav de ba'al mekayim ein soimchen al anes dahainu b'yachid. Aval b'tzoyrech rabim soimchim. To teach Torah publicly, you're allowed to rely on miracles. There's no teva. You're allowed to rely on an es. Ukamash kasa b'sefer Metzudas David. V'gabe Rabbi Shua ben Levi hayat tzoyrech rabim. The rabim needed him lalamdam. V'hainu sheheshiv mal chamaves leRabbi Chanina bar Papi miyichrachis b'bali rasan. That's what the Malach Ahavas said to Rab Papi. Do you cling to Balei Rasan? Rabbi Shua ben Levi, mashma, the shapir of it. It's mashma that he is doing proper. V'hainu k'masha kasav, mishum lelamed la'acherim. He was teaching others. V'zeh shekasav b'avodah zarah, the Malach Ahavas oihev lemelamed la'acher. You hear this? In other words, there's a mitzvah. Talmud Torah is greater than a mitzvah. Talmud Torah l'rabim is even greater than that you can rely on a miracle. Says Ahavas Eisan uvezel si shapir deloi tikshi mi deisa b'baba kama. With this, it comes out well not to ask. We find in Baba Kama the hamoiser atzmai lemaves al derech Torah al dvar Torah ein oimrim halacha b'shmai. In Baba Kama, we find that someone who gives up his life for Torah, we don't say over Torah in his name. That's where the hasam loy have a rak tzarch mamain. That's if he's giving up to make money. V'loy dami ledahacha to have a tzarch Talmud Torah derabim. And not only that, we know Talmud Torah is greater than saving someone else's life. So if it supersedes saving someone else's life, certainly. Or also, it would supersede saving your own life. And says the Ahavas Eisan Chidush that which the Gemara Megillah says Talmud Torah is greater than Atzos Nefashos, that's Talmud Torah derabim, degabe Mordechai koi shahayim alami la'acherim. So it comes out according to this Chidush of the Ahavas Eisan that the reason why Rabbi Shua ben Levi was able to give up his life is because he was doing it to teach Torah la'rabim. You're now ein soimchen al anes. To teach Torah to Rabbim, you're allowed to be soimchen al anes. It would come out then, what would be if somebody is a Rebbe, and they have to travel up north to give Shiur? Are you allowed to endanger your life to give a Shiur? So Rabbi Yitzchak Zilberstein in the Chashukei Chemed says, from here we see that if you're a Rebbe and missiles are flying in the north, in the Galil, meos pigazim. I don't know exactly what a pigaz is. Maybe look it up. But I assume it's a missile. If the pigazim are flying, are you allowed to travel to give a shiur? Says Reb Zilberstein, la'or zois mutter l'magid shiur l'nsoya l'lamei Torah gam be'es nefilas ha'pigazim. The Chavetz Chaim also said, "L'tzarech limud Torah." We know that even though you're now to give up more than your fifth of your money, because be'usha skino hamavazvez alivazvez yosimei choymesh, that's for regular tzedakah, not for Talmud Torah. I don't think that has any bearing on this, but based on this Gemara in Kesuvos, The Chashukei Chemed wants to say that you would be allowed to endanger your life to give a shiur. Okay, now I think I would like to present an original answer to this question. I don't know why it's not given. I didn't see it anywhere. But first let's extrapolate based on this approach. There's a Meshech Chachma at the end of Parsha Truma who says that not only are you allowed to give up your life, for Talmud Torah Derabim, you're required to give up your life. Because we find, for those learning Masechta Megillah, Yehoshua was punished for not engaging in Torah at the time of war. So Rav Sternbuch interprets this that not mamish you have to give up your life to teach Torah B'Rabim, but if it's not a outright sakana, it's a quasi sakana. So then, since the Torah is magni umatzli, then you would have to risk your life. You should.
Do we differentiate between traveling to go to teach versus teaching in and of itself?
Well, look, if you would even be allowed to travel, certainly you'd be allowed to teach, right?
I'm saying when you're traveling, it could be you're not in the learning, or you include the traveling as part of the learning.
Right, but I guess Reb Zilberstein is saying a chiddush. Not only could you teach, you could even travel, right? That would be an even bigger chiddush. Rav Sternbuch brings a story. There was a family in Minsk in Russia that during communism, they were geyser not to teach Torah B'Rabim, and the Yabuskim were overseeing that this should be maintained, and the Gedolim considered a shashmad, and they paskin to teach Torah B'Seisar, even though it's Sakanas Mavesh. Because anyone who was caught was sent immediately to Siberia. And they did this for many years, and they were taken, and he brings Rav Isser Zalman Meltzer. Rav Isser Zalman Meltzer supported them, and Rav Avram Elio Meislis led the yeshiva for many years. Okay, very interesting. Bottom line is, Rabbi Elchanan Wasserman says that it's not for teaching Torah B'Rabim. Torah is different than mitzvahs. By Torah, by mitzvahs we say Ein Soim Chen Al Anes. By mitzvahs we say B'makam D'Shriach Hazeka Shani. By Torah not. But the Ahavas Eisan is saying no, it's not a din in Torah. It's a din in Torah, Talmud Torah B'Rabim. The Sefer Chasidim brings Misha Halach L'Meirachaik Lilmoid V'Haderech Meshubeshes. Someone's going on a far road, and it's a corrupt road. There are robbers on the road. There are terrorists on the road. Or they're kidnappers, and then the communities have to redeem them. About such a person who travels, we say, Yesh Tzadik Oived B'Tzidka. He should have waited a little bit until the danger passes. And the Sefer Chasidim says, he applies what Shmuel said to Shaul, what Shmuel said, that Shaul will find out and he'll kill me. And we don't say Shluchei Mitzvah Eino Nezakim because Makam Hezek, Makam D'Shriach Hezek, Shani. Okay. Bottom line is, so far we've seen a number of approaches. Rabbi Elyashiv in his Ha'aras on Shas says like this. He asks, how could Rabbi Shimon Levi learn with these people? You can't even eat eggs there. So he says an answer. Rav Aaron Cutler says a similar answer. Mavur hacha de Rabbi Shimon Levi da asak b'Torah l'shma uva kedusha v'tahara. The Rabbi Shimon Levi who was oisek in Torah l'shma, with kedusha, with tahara. For him, it was not a sakana. And for him, that was not considered being nichnas l'sakana. But for someone else too, it would be a problem. In other words, I think what Rabbi Elyashiv is saying is, and Rabbi Aaron Cutler says a similar thing, that Rabbi Shimon ben Levi was on a level of bitachon that for him, he wasn't concerned, he didn't have to worry. Him, on his level, it was okay. I want to present an approach, I don't know why this is not said. There's a Rashi on the Gemara here that I think learns the whole Sugya differently. So just to review, the kasha is, how could Yeshua ben Levi put himself in danger? Rabbi Elchanan says Torah is different. The Ahavas Eisan says Talmud Torah Rabbim is different. Rabbi Elyashiv and Aaron Cutler said Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi are different. Let's go with the approach of Rabbi Elchanan for a moment, that it's either din in Talmud Torah or the approach of the Ahavas Eisan is a din in teaching Torah. I think there's a factor here that's being overlooked. Look at Rashi. Rashi says, Mi ichraches v'vali rasan v'asakta b'Torah. You know, Rabbi Chanina bar Papa, he wanted the Yetzer Hara to show him his spot in Olam Haba. So the Yetzer Hara, the Machon Maggid says, okay, you keep everything. Do you even hang around Balei Rasan? So Rashi says, why did Rabbi Shua ben Levi hang around Balei Rasan? It's very simple Rashi. Mi ichrachet b'Balei Rasan mesakta b'Torah k'dahava avad Iyun, like Rabbi Shua ben Levi shahaya mesakin b'nafshay lechabed es haTorah. He endangered himself to honor the Torah. What are we going to do with that? Rashi doesn't say he endangered himself to teach Torah. He endangered himself to honor the Torah. How is he honoring the Torah? He was showing that Torah has such power, so it extends such grace to those who learn it, that nothing could harm a person who is learning it. And the proof is, I will learn with those who have the most despicable illness, and I will retain my charm. Now I want to share with you a Gemara Megillah on Gimel Amud Beis. The Gemara says, Gemara is discussing that what's greater? The Gemara wants to know, what's greater? Talmud Torah or Hakravas Tamidim? So we know the Malach came to Yahushua and he said, Atabasi, I came now. I came now. Because the Gemara wants to know, how do we know that you're allowed to be Mevatel Torah to hear the Megillah? The Gemara says, Kal v'chomer from the Avodah. Avodah is chamor. Talmud Torah loy kol shekain. We make a kal v'chomer that if you're Mevatel the Avodah for the Megillah, certainly you're Mevatel Torah. So Gemara says, really? Avodah is more chamor than Torah? But the Malach criticized Yehoshua more for not learning than for not bringing karbanos. So Gemara says, that's not a raya. That's because Talmud Torah de Rabbim. But Talmud Torah de Yachid, not. Talmud Torah de Yachid, Avodah is more chamor. The Gemara has a kasha. No, but even Talmud Torah of a Yachid is more important than the Avodah. Says the Gemara, Kavod Torah! Kavod Torah de Yachid chamor! Talmud Torah de Yachid kal. Kavod Torah is greater than Talmud Torah. Did you know that? That even though the greatest mitzvah is learning Torah, it's more important to honor Talmidei Chachamim even than learning. It's a Gemara. Kavod Torah is greater than Talmud Torah. I would suggest that this Sugya, you can't prove that you're allowed to endanger yourself for a mitzvah, you can't prove you're allowed to endanger yourself for learning, and you can't prove you're allowed to endanger yourself for teaching. Look at Rashi. What happened to good old Rashi? Rashi says that the intention of Rabbi Shua ben Levi was to honor the Torah. How was he honoring the Torah? He wanted to show the world the power of Torah. Not to be Mekayim the mitzvah of learning or teaching, he was being Mechabed the Torah. Mechabed the Torah! you could put yourself in sakana for. To honor the Torah, you could put yourself in sakana for. So it would come out, if there was a Talmud Chacham, and there were bullets flying, you could endanger your life to honor him. Couldn't endanger your life to learn or to teach, according to this approach. I didn't see anyone who says it, but I think Rashi's saying it. Those are the words of Rashi. I don't think Rabbi Shimon Levi was doing this for Harbatzas Torah. Who's going to teach the Balei Rasan? Well, that's what it was. There was no one else in Klal Yisrael to teach. He couldn't find a teenager who needed some extra tutoring. He had to teach this guy. You'll say, well, nobody else could teach this guy. Somebody else could. Rashi seems to indicate it's a din in Kavadat Torah. Kavadat Torah, we already know, is greater than Talmud Torah. I don't know. That's how I see it. Anyway, this is a very interesting sugya. There's more to it. We're going to move on to Ayin Ches, okay?